All right, good morning, guys. Welcome back to video number 5. Right now, we left off the last video showing you I got all the other suspension stuff done. So right now, got both spindles bolted up, ready to go. I got this spring ready to compress. So we're gonna get this thing compressed, get it installed, and get that spindle on, so we can move forward with getting these disc brakes on. Just wanted to check in real quick. I didn't film this side, which I will on the other one, because this is only the second set of coils I've ever done, and it's always sketchy doing it. At least I think so anyway. Anyway, got this side all put in there. Just got to get the compressor tool finangled out, but we're all in there and bolted up. Got the jack out from underneath it, so got us a nice fresh front end now. So just wanted to show you that we got it. Ended up going pretty smooth. I think the only thing I had to do is once I got the spring in there, put the ratchet and compress the spring just a little bit more, probably like a quarter inch or so, maybe a hair more. And I was able to get the lower ball joint and upper ball joint nut on, get them tighten them up a little bit. Then I was able to relieve the pressure on the jack, and we're good to go. So went really smooth. So I'll set us up a little time lapse on the other side, and we'll get that one knocked out. That way, hopefully you guys can maybe see a little bit of how I'm doing it in that. So, all right, let's jump over on this other side and get it knocked out. Okay, being that we finished that side up, go ahead and show you what we got here. I went ahead, cleaned up both shocks, got those thrown in. So here it all is. As you can see, the shock in there. So everything's looking pretty good. Obviously, nothing's tightened down yet. Tie rod ends are just loosely bolted up. Ball joints are loosely bolted up. So right now I'm actually going to go through, I think the only thing that's really tight is this upper control arm to hold the shims in place. So I'm going to go through, tighten up the lower control arms where they need to be, and then kind of work my way around from there. So here's the other side as well. So it all looks pretty nice. So we'll get everything tightened up real quick. Got both sides done. Passenger side's the most recent. Got our wheel bearings packed, rear seals pressed in. Got the dust cap and bearing preload set. Filled the dust caps full of grease, and got the pads all set in there, and got some stuff on the sliders so they don't make noise. But yeah, looking real good. I think the red calipers go very well with this car. Very happy with that. So both sides turned out really good. Got the wheels straightened up. And as I was turning it, the power squealing decided to pump some fluids out. So she's definitely pump-lificating pretty good. And anyway, so we're on to brake lines now. Here's one of the factory lines here. And obviously due to budget, we're not gonna go crazy. We'd like to do new front lines, but they're all in pretty good shape. When I get in the engine bay, I'll probably take some lacquer thinner on a rag, clean all the lines up real good, but they're in really good shape. So right now I got our braided hoses laid out and all the assortment of stuff I got. So I'm gonna look at how I'm gonna run these things, get them test fitted, and let you guys know what I think of this. So we'll see. So far, the front kit has been pretty decent, minus instructions again, because if you guys get this kit, it tells you nothing about the caliper bracket mounting and the dust shield mounting, and I had to come up with my own. They give you bolts for this dust shield and they're too long, so you got to kind of come up with your own washer situation there, and it doesn't tell you anything about it in the directions. But I mean, at the end of the day, it wasn't, that hard. So anyway, let's move on to these lines, get these knocked out. All right, went ahead and got these hooked up. They're not tight yet. Comes down, goes into the back of the caliper. It's not interfering with anything as of yet when I turn and such, but we will really be able to tell that when we get the weight down on it and see where it settles with the suspension and the tie rod ends and stuff like that. So that's why I kind of want to leave all this the way it is right now. That way, when we set it down, have all the engine weight and all that stuff on there, we can then in turn steer it, see what it's going to do under suspension load, make sure that line's not going to get pinched or chafe up against anything. But as for now, this should work, so we can move on to the next step of whatever else I need to tighten and go over. So I'm pretty happy with it. All right, checking back in here. Let you guys know we were finishing up the lines on the front brakes. I just got to tighten them up on the calipers. And if you look here at the master cylinder, we've already showed that I got those knocked out a while back, but I was able to make the stock lines work that were already on here due to budget. I mean, if we didn't have a budget with this car, we'd go through and do them real nice. But I was actually kind of, able to get some nice swoops in them and get them kind of straightened out. And, it turned out nice for what we're doing on this car. So I'm pretty happy with that. So we got them all tightened up at the proportioning valve. They're good there. Get a little before shot here. You can see where I quit painting, where I detailed the frame rails on the outside and the tops. So now I'll go from this midpoint, because you can see I missed a little bit there. Obviously, I can't see it from the other side. But anyway, start from this midpoint and work my way in, because I've already cleaned all this. So I just got to move some wiring, move the heater hoses out of the way, and there's a little bit of dirt chunk down here I need to clean out that I didn't get to when I degreased all this. So get a little nice before shot for you guys. That way, when we get all this stuff cross member wise painted, it'll look really nice. But anyway, happy with how the brake lines turned out. Nice simple solution that the original ones actually were able to put right back in place, which makes life a lot easier, saves a lot of time and money too. So anyway, I'm gonna get to cleaning this thing up and get this thing painted. Okay, it's the next day. I was gonna film after I painted stuff, the cross member and all that stuff at the front of the frame. I was gonna film it yesterday, but the paint was still curing, obviously, so it looked really glossy. Anyway, waited till this morning. Still a couple things to finish up. We got to get wire loom, get all the wiring cleaned up so it looks nice. And there's a few lines that already had paint on them, as well as a couple I got paint on. It's inevitable. But anyway, I'm gonna go back and clean that stuff off. But I'll go ahead and show you the finished product. It looks a lot better. So this engine bay is really starting to come together for, doing it with very little resources and whatnot. So anyway, here we go. So it's looking a lot better. Pretty happy with it so far. It's amazing what cleaning some things up, scuffing some stuff up with Scotch-Brite, cleaning it off, and using a little Rust-Oleum and a sponge brush gets you, because if you spray paint, which is also it's always a good route, but then you're getting overspray and you've got to mask everything off. If you use like a regular bristle brush, you're going to see brush strokes. The sponge brushes are nice because you can get them really saturated and just kind of dab, and if you do it a little bit thicker, it kind of self-levels in a way and you don't see any brush strokes or anything of that nature, so it looks a little bit better. It's just my opinion from personal experience. But anyway, we got that all knocked out. There's a couple little things I'm going to address. And then, yeah, I'm not really too sure where we can go from now because we are waiting on a couple other things for this, like the stabilizer actual mount bushings. We're waiting on those. We got the end links, but not the actual mount bushings. Still waiting on the rag joint for the steering box, and still waiting on AN fittings to get the tank back in and finished up. So anyway, I'm gonna see what I can get into next, and we'll go from there. Okay, since we are waiting on stuff and I'm pretty much caught up, there's not much for me to do. This is where it kind of comes into play, where there's a lot of little tidbitty things that you can get done. So that being said, I went through and I know the headers need to be cleaned up and repainted. The leaf spring / rear end lower mounts / shock mount deals, those need to be cleaned up and painted. And I believe now we are running the accessory drive and stuff that was on the car. So that means that stuff I will have to get all cleaned up and painted. So I definitely got a few things to keep me busy while we're waiting on stuff for now. So we'll get started on getting some of these little items cleaned up and painted. 'Cause that's a lot of the times in the build when you think, oh, I'm done, and you gotta look through all these little things because there's always bound to be something you've missed and, you know, needs to be cleaned up and, you know, put back together and painted or something of that nature. So anyway, I'm gonna go get some of these little things out and see what we got. What's up, guys? Okay, just checking back in. Haven't filmed much because we are still waiting on parts. So basically the only thing I've been doing is getting some of the accessory stuff painted that was all nasty and gross. Like here's a stabilizer bar. It's all painted. Headers are redone. Fan, pulleys, leaf spring brackets, all that kind of stuff. So we got that going. We got those out of the way. That way, when all these parts come in, we can basically, you know, bolt that stuff together. Thank you, by the way, because that was loud and annoying.
You're more than welcome, sir.
And got the stabilizer bar brackets painted as well. So we do have parts that are going to finally show up, and we'll be ready to get going on a lot more stuff. So down here, what I'm about ready to do is raise the car up, and we're going to ditch the 5/16 fuel line that's from front to back. And somebody put a union in place in the middle anyway, which is, I mean, don't get me wrong, those things serve their purpose, they have their place, but not on this car. So we're gonna get rid of that, and we're gonna be running 3/8 feed, and we're gonna run our return as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this thing up in the air and get going on that stuff. And I'm trying to think if there's something else that I need to show. Also, if you guys were watching old videos, don't know why I did this, but I installed the fuel pump assembly backwards. So now I got it swapped back around so the lines can actually come out and not be going directly towards that. So that's all done. Just got to tighten up my nuts here for the wires. So this will be ready to go and almost be ready to put up back up in the car because we just got this rubber coming. Should be here in a couple days. We end up having to cancel our order with another place, go with another one, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, all the parts should be showing up by the end of this week, beginning of next week. So that way we can really thrash out, and hopefully the heads for the engine will be done, hopefully by the end of the week. And we will have stuff to where I can start bolting the pan back on tomorrow. So that'll be nice, at least get the bottom end sealed back up. I know it's a lot of talking because there's a lot that's happened since I filmed the last clip with changing parts around and doing all that crap. So fuel line first, and then the tank will be ready to go in. And then I also got the intake over here, and I'm ready to get that detailed and cleaned up as well. But as far as that goes, that's pretty much where we're at. We're about ready to put brake fluid in it and bleed the brakes as well. But that's pretty much where we're at. So let's get this thing up in the air and get this fuel line out of there. All right, before we lift this up, got to get our plastic pulled back over so we don't get our engine bay all dirty and nasty with dust and whatnot. At least try to prevent as much of it as possible. So there we go. Now we can lift her up. Okay guys, it's the next morning. We left off getting the car up in the air. Showed you some stuff I painted and whatnot. We got the old fuel line out, which you can tell they spliced it a couple different times. So being that this is going fuel injection and we're gonna need a feed and return, I'm gonna run those all fresh myself and do it cleaner and nicer than how it was. Anyway, so that's where we're at right now. I'm still underneath here getting some stuff taken care of, as well as getting the tank ready to go in, because the little rubber connector piece should be in like tomorrow or Friday, I think. But we got some updates because we do have parts coming that we need to finish this Camaro, which is nice. They're finally going to be in. But the biggest thing is we ended up getting a call and the heads were done. So we got those picked up. So I'll show those to you because that means we can start getting the engine back together. Although we do need a new harmonic balancer, and I'll show you why, which you can put the new wear sleeves on these. But as you can see, things grooved really bad. And that's probably why it was leaking. And the dampener, the rubber between there is separating and it looks like it's already spun. And that's no good. So we're waiting on a balancer and timing cover, and then we should be ready to start throwing this thing back together. I may be able to go ahead and get the heads on it, but I think I'm going to save and film all the engine stuff and make a whole video just dedicated to that engine, basically from where it's at right now, getting it all put back together, cleaned up, primed, painted, and done. That way we got a cool engine assembly video, basically. But while I'm giving you guys some updates, I'll go ahead and show you the heads. They look incredible. This guy does really good work. These things literally look brand new. So I just had them opened up. I mean, he hot tanks them or whatever it is. I'm not a engine guy, but man, those things are bare cast. They look fantastic. All the new springs, valve seals, keepers and retainers, the screwed in studs with guide plates, but they look incredible. So he did a fantastic job on these. Very, very happy with that. So we got those, and I may start, depending on what I get to and whatnot on this today, I may go ahead and look at getting the heads bolted on today. But like I said, I'll film that for the engine video. Since I'm already giving quick updates, everyone's probably see this in the background just sitting, because these cars are just impossible to get parts for. And this car is so close to being done. And we are finally getting parts coming in, within like the next week to get this thing finished. So that means we can put the rubber line, soft lines on for the brakes, fuel line that we've been waiting on forever that's specific to these cars. What else? A couple other tidbitty things that are keeping us from moving forward. And then we found out the battery trays are just canceled indefinitely. They are not making anymore. And luckily this has the original battery tray. It is rusted a little bit, so I will have to repair that section. But overall, for a 54 battery tray, this thing's in good shape. Normally these things just rot out completely, as you very well know in any car. But little repair there, and that thing will be good to go. So look forward to some future videos on that. I don't know, this car usually doesn't do too well in videos, so I may just kind of include updates on this car and just random videos here and there. You can let me know down in the comments if you actually want to see more of dedicated video / time to that car, and I'll do it. But if not, I'll just throw little updates in here and there on where we're at with it. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get back on getting a couple things taken care of underneath the car and get it prepped and ready for new fuel line. and start looking at what else I need to get cleaned up and get ready for assembling this engine and getting the rest of the stuff on the underneath side of the car done. All right, guys, went ahead and finished up the fuel tank. Got the carriage bolts where you actually mount the tank straps to. I got this Y for the vents. So whenever I get some line in, we'll run the vent lines with that. I got the fuel pump lines all tightened in, got those marked. So when this tank is all the way in there, hanging down, we can see what's what. Got the sending unit ready, got my wires remade, heat shrunk and ran. Got the heat shrunk the old end on here for the ground, and got us a new power wire ran because the old one is quite crusty. So anyway, this is all done and ready to go. Going to kind of clean these tools up, and then when that rubber comes in, we'll be ready to throw this bad boy up in the car. So we'll go ahead and jump on to whatever it is I was doing next. We'll see. Okay, left off getting that fuel tank all finished up, and I know we finished up the front brake system as well. The only thing we haven't done is put fluid through the system, which we're just waiting on that for now. So I wanted to show you a little bit more of what I knocked out and what we're going to do right now. So got the stabilizer bar painted and put back in, new stabilizer bar bushings and end links as well. So they're all in there and tight, both sides. Turned out good. Pretty happy. So we finally got the rag joint in, which they were completely out of stock with no, basically they had no idea when they were just going to get stock ones. So we had to go with a Jegs one, which they make for this style, and it is a little nicer quality, I think, than the stock one. But it was also $20 more expensive, but they had them in stock, so you got to do what you got to do. We can't leave this thing sitting around indefinitely because of a back-ordered part. So did what we had to do, spent the $20 extra, got a little bit nicer one. So what I'm going to do is raise this thing back up in the air, loosen up the steering box, so that way I can kind of wiggle it out of the way and take this spline deal off of the old one off, and then be able to slip this one on. So let's go ahead and get this thing up in the air and get to swapping this thing out. If I was smart, I probably wouldn't have put the steering box in it yet, but I was just curious to see how things were going to fit and line up. But anyway, whatever. Let's do it. As you just saw in that extended time lapse, we got the thing all in there. Rag joint looks great. Got her all dialed in. That's pretty much it right now. Got the outside steering box bolts tight. Looks good from out here. And then from the inside, there she blows. So it looks good. I'm pretty happy. Thing steers really nice, moves really easy. I'm leaving this one loose because this is where our horn wire will go. So that way we can address that, and it's the outside one. So that's pretty much it. She's in there like swimwear. And then we gotta put our nut on here if we can get this back up in place. I don't know if I can do that while holding the phone, but we're gonna find out here. There we go. I'll tighten that up here in a minute and call that good. So I kind of just wanted to keep this video pretty much just the brakes, and obviously I gave a little update of a few other things. I've already got a lot of an engine video filmed, and I've kind of got a shop / project update video going as well. So look forward to those. Got some on Dad's GTO, the 68 Firebird, which we've had a few questions about, and some Volkswagen stuff. So stay tuned for that. I got a few videos in the works. They're just not all completed. And we'll be jumping around between those update videos, a little bit update on the 55, and obviously back on this Camaro project. So yeah, I think I'm just going to go ahead and end this video off here. And the next one's either going to be engine or, like I said, the update stuff. And yeah, that should be it. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you're enjoying the series on this 67 Camaro and doing all this fun stuff. I mean, it's been cool. It's a neat project. And we're finally getting all the parts in. We're having more stuff come in today, tomorrow, and like beginning of next week. So we'll be able to get this thing finished up here pretty soon. So anyway, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you haven't subscribed, do so. And for the people that don't know, it doesn't cost you anything. You just hit the subscribe button. It allows my videos to pop up in your subscription feed so you know when I post something. I've been meaning to say that because I think some people that use it think that the subscription thing is like a fee, and it's not. So anyway, yeah, we will see you guys in the next video, and we'll get into more project stuff.